Hi, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of our podcast. Today, we'll talk about whether in autism therapy we can go straight into building conversation skills by following an application oriented approach. We have Dr. Uma Krishnan with us. She is a clinical psychologist and she runs her own therapy center for children with special needs, so quite deeply involved in therapy as well. And she also works with us, building some of our learning content and doing a myriad of other things. Uh, Hi, Uma. Welcome to our podcast. We the other day you and I were talking about how to help children with autism learn conversation skills. So that is a conversation. It was a very interesting and enriching conversation. So I just thought, why don't we bring that back here for our audiences? It might be helpful for many people. I certainly learned a lot in that. So what I want to know from you is, at what point in your therapy do you typically start teaching conversation skills?
Yeah, so as we discussed earlier, before reaching to the conversation skill as such, as we know that in the spectrum, children and the individuals with autism, they have difficulty in communication as such. So, and also the initial phase, we mainly focus on the improving the need-based communication in these individuals, like how to ask their needs, or if they want water, asking for water, or if they are hungry, communicating that, so that the need satisfaction is the important factor we focus. So once the because they are mostly they will be non-verbal and they've shown difficulty in communication. So to building that need-based communication is a most priority. So once that is done, then we will be focusing on how to bring the reciprocal communication, how to converse with other people. So for that, we need some basic prerequisites like turn taking or something like that, so that they can build their conversation skills.
On that note, let me just interrupt you there for a few minutes. So I had so after we had that previous conversation, I went and spoke to Amy Taylor. She's a speech and language therapist based in New Zealand. She's been working with us for a while. Uh, to understand how they do it in New Zealand, and what are the prerequisites they look for in New Zealand. So on that note, let me just, and I recorded that conversation. So let me just bring that video in and see what she says about prerequisites. And then I would love to see, your comment on what she's saying, and if there is, if you follow the same things, and if there is anything you want to add to that. So let me just pull up her video. Just give me a second.
Okay, so we're going to be looking for those foundational conversational skills. Like in literacy, before someone can read, they obviously need to recognize letters. It's the same with conversation. Before someone can have a conversation, there's lots of things that need to be going on there. So something that we'll look for is joint attention. So shared attention on something along with somebody else. We'll look for turn taking. So the ability to take turns, the ability to wait for somebody else while they're having their turn, and understanding that next it's your turn. We're going to look at language development in general, like what's going on with language. So we want to know that some areas of language are reliable. So we want to know that if a child is saying cat, that what they mean is cat. That way, when a conversation does develop, it gives an idea that what they're saying is what they're trying to say, and then you can validate that and grow on it in an effective sort of a way. We want to be able to see that children can play side by side with other children, or play side by side with an adult. And because we're hoping that that would be a gateway to them allowing somebody else to join in. So, all social interaction involves a tolerance of others and ideally an enjoyment of others. So we really want to see that that's starting to take place. And we want to see what's going on in regards to attempts to communicate. So we probably want to see some attempts to communicate, or we want to start encouraging attempts to communicate. That doesn't necessarily mean we want to encourage well, we want to encourage, but we're not necessarily looking for attempts to verbalize. We might be looking for a gesture or something like that, or some sort of a look. So for example, a child wants to watch something on the TV again and they point to the remote, and we say, okay, well, they're communicating that they want to watch that again because they're pointing to the remote, which they associate with what's just been on TV. And so that's an attempt to communicate. So we're looking for all of those sorts of things before we're considering bringing in the active conversation. The active conversation is quite complex. It involves, a shared and agreed upon topic, relevant questions, relevant comments, and of course, all conversations are different and some are more complex than others. But just to get to that stage of that basic overall communication, we really want to see all of those other things, because everything I've just mentioned does come into play in a conversation. So yeah, that's basically what I would say we focus on. Of course, in New Zealand, there's differences within the public and private sector and then variety within that. But I would say as a New Zealander, that's what I would look for.
Right. So that's what Amy said about what the prerequisites are. What I wanted to understand more was how to actually build those prerequisites in the kids who don't have those prerequisites to start with. And this is what you said about that.
So we see a variety of outcomes with a variety of different approaches, and that can be very child by child. So some things that will work amazingly for some children will work less amazingly for others. But something to sort of return to is the prerequisites that I was talking about before. So in New Zealand, we wouldn't necessarily just keep an eye on when those prerequisites have come along and then decide, okay, they've got them, let's go and start trying with conversation. We would actively target those areas. So if a child is not allowing a peer to sit beside them or let their parents sit beside them, or if a child is not able to take turns or is showing no signs of joint attention, we're not just going to sit on that and then come back. We are going to target those things actively, and I would say that would be the first step in us targeting conversations. So something we do recommend is teaching parents how to follow their child's lead. So join in and get into that child's world, and then slowly bring in that shared attention, and then slowly introduce turn taking through something fun. For example, each playing with the train or tickling or something like that that's rewarding. And then really, validating those attempts to communicate when they do occur, extending on them and acknowledging that they've occurred. So that's something we'll do at that level.
Right. So that's what Amy said about what the prerequisites are and how they typically build them. So Uma, what I want to ask you is, what's your thoughts on what Amy said? Do you follow the exact same approach, or is there something that you do differently?
Yeah, like Amy said, we also initiate with the prerequisites like the child should have a listening skills, turn taking skills, joint attention, and some amount of comprehension. All these things are required to understand what other person, and also the child should be able to listen what others, and with the turn is giving the turn to the other person and waiting for the turn. It's very important when there is a reciprocal conversation is there, okay, because usually these children won't show much patience when interacting with with the other people. So for that we train them like by some game activity, how to wait for the turn, like physical activity, and like making different activities so that they are waiting and waiting for the turn so that they can get the things from their hand, like passing the ball or passing the message or something like that. We make them play so that the turn taking concept is coming there. For this, that is the behavioral aspects we bring with the game for the child to understand that the child need to wait for the turn. And if some comments are given during the game, the child has to listen the instructions and comprehend that also. So these skills are taught through that game itself. Then we slowly start with the to and fro and the reciprocal conversation with the some kind of verbalization activities.
Right. So, what you and Amy both talked about here is almost like the primitives that you need, like the very, very basic stuff, raw material that you need to even begin to teach conversation. But when you talk about, so let's just assume that all that, you've successfully achieved that. So when you talk about conversation itself, the art of conversation itself, that has several different elements to it also. So joint attention, turn taking, all these things are quite basic. So with respect to conversation skills, how do you break those down? Like what are the different elements in a conversation that you then start working on? So again, let me play Amy's video here so that you can listen in and incorporate your response accordingly. So right.
We might use role play. So we might look at just say a certain situation's coming up or a situation comes up frequently. We might practice what will we do in that situation, what might I say, what might you say. We might use social stories to talk about appropriate behavior or the reasons we might have a conversation at this time. We might talk about topic maintenance. So topic maintenance being staying on one topic. And to build those specific skills that are involved in a to and fro conversation, we can use visuals, for example. So just a little reminder, stay on topic or something like that. There's lots of different ways that we can do that. Lots of different approaches we can use to try and really get through to the child that we're working with.
Right. So that's what Amy is saying about teaching conversation skills. So she's talking about topic maintenance and staying on topic and visuals and all these things that you can use. So, okay, now actually, all this was a bit of a background that I was building up to. My real question that I want to really get the answer for from this podcast is, all these approaches that that are being talked about here, they're all bottom up. So you build these skills, and then on top of it, and then you reach to the conversation. My question is, can we do this top down? So can we start teaching conversation earlier than typically people do we like, I'm questioning, do we really need all these prerequisites ticked off before we launch into conversations? So that's what I want to ask you, Uma.
Yeah. So this is a typical way of doing building the conversation skills. Like these are the things which require to have a conversation with other people. But when I was doing a trial with this Talk With Me app, I because usually we do a post and a pre-analysis and a post one. So this was the children I was working with. They were having very less amount of these prerequisite skills. So once, even though they were not having much of them, when I tried with these app and the conversation skill directly with these children, after few sessions or few training program, I could see some improvement in this these skills which child needed for to have a conversation or reciprocal conversation. So what it was saying that without me going into the deeper like basics, start from the basics and then come to the conversation, this is the way. It's a usually theoretical model. But maybe if we go parallelly also with directly going to the application level, just give the task and make them do, which automatically build these skills to within them. Like children, what we are doing is we are trying to build the giving the trying to give the knowledge to them yeah, these are the skills we need to have a conversation. Then go into the application level. Instead of that, directly giving a task where they need to wait for the turn or may have a joint attention and the listening skills. In the initial phase, when we do the task, we may not get. Once we practice it with the conversation as such, the child slowly learns that, yeah, these are the things we need to do, or these are the things we need to have a smooth conversation or smooth functioning of this particular task. So slowly they inculcate these skills within them, and they learn that the conversation is applicable. So there is a that pedagogy what is telling that, like the all of you heard about that Bloom's taxonomy, which is used in the educational aspect. Like where you first give, it's a, for a normal person also, like you first provide the knowledge, then comprehend it, then then you apply it, then you analyze it, then synthesis. So this is the level you usually a child learns. But in this thing, in this aspect, we take a what do you say, we take a middle path of that and just start directly from the application level. Once you start applying it, automatically the child learns that these are the aspects which is involved to apply it. So the theoretical aspects, so automatically that behavior comes in within them. So that was one of the thing I observed when I am working with this conversation app with these children.
Right. So let me just clarify with you a little bit more on that, the Bloom's taxonomy thing. Not everyone might be familiar with it. Let me just pull up a graphic for that. So here's a graphic. I just pulled this up, just downloaded from the internet. And so let me, I'll try to rephrase and see if I understood what you said correctly. So what you're saying is that this is one approach that's often followed in teaching and learning.
Yeah.
It starts with building a knowledge base, and then you observe and you discover, and then you collect a lot of knowledge, and then you try to understand what that knowledge means. You comprehend it. You make abstractions, you summarize it, whatever, automatically or through practice or however. And once you have built comprehension of that knowledge, then you start applying in your life. Okay.
Yeah.
And then when you start applying in your life, in problem solving or in experimenting, in building things, whatever, then you start putting together the different patterns, synthesize it, and then evaluate it. You talked about the first three blocks of the pyramid. What you said was that typically we collect knowledge, comprehend, then apply. If I understood it correctly, you were saying that when in your experience of using Talk With Me, what you noticed was that with a lot of children who did not have all these prerequisites of knowledge and comprehension, and you directly went into applying it, you saw that the things, the two blocks below kept building up on their own. So is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it is. What exactly it is happening is because when you directly apply a particular kind of task, directly in the app, what is happening is that the child is start conversing with the cards.
Correct.
So that child is mandatorily the child has to do some activity on the task.
Correct.
So when the child is repeatedly doing that, maybe in the initial phase of when the child is doing, there is no meaning for the child. So what exactly the child is, the child may not be having the awareness. But once the child start doing it, and slowly the child is understanding that I am able to understand what other one is telling, and I am also able to communicate or converse my things to the other person. So automatically it is happening while I am working on the conversation. that understanding is going into child's mind. So then slowly the automatically the behavior, yeah, so let me wait for the other person, what listen to what other person is saying. And maybe, and when the child is conversing, the other person is also waiting, so child is observing that behavior also.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
In that the observation is taking place, and the child is understanding, and this is the pattern I need to interact. So once that the practice is given more frequently, the child is inculcating that particular aspect in their child's life while doing the conversation app. And also the child is able to bring this concept in real life setting also. Like for example, the child is conversing with other person in a topic, or maybe playing. So when the child is out of this scenario or the teaching mode, when the in real life situation also, the same method she is applying there also, like the communicating with the parents, like I want to go to park, or I want to play this. So this is generalization which is happening there.
So, f- from what you're saying, it seems like, of course, Talk With Me app is going to massively speed things up and make it all easier. That's the objective. But actually, in principle, you can, even if you don't have the Talk With Me app, you can still start applying these principles, right? If you're using PEX cards to enable conversation, or if you're using people's own AAC devices, however it is that you are using, whatever resources you're using in your therapy to help the child learn conversation skills, you can use the same principles. You can actually just go ahead and just start it. And
Yes,
you may notice that a lot of these prerequisites kept getting built up,
yes, yes.
uh, right?
Yes. So what I felt is, yeah. So if even though we initially we work with these children with the PECs, so PECs can be used, or the similar method, directly providing the activity as such. Maybe do this, and the child has to wait for the turn and do some other activity. So the child is listening and waiting for his turn. So this helped the child to the principle is same, but not because may not be the same platform, but it will
Yeah.
be helpful for the child to bring it to the general situations also.
Actually, to share with you, um, I mean, Talk With Me app didn't just come out of nowhere. um, it's it actually came from the main concept, the basic concept of this back and forth conversation, and just launching directly into it, and everything gets built up. That actually came from my observation of how people were doing it at a school in New Zealand. So just I'll take a few minutes to share this story. So when I was working on a new concept, and thinking about how we can help children learn conversation skills, I was working closely with a special needs school in Christchurch, and I went there to look at what they're doing. And what I saw was exactly this. So there were two children who had quite severe autism, and the teacher was trying to enable a conversation using PECs between the two kids. So let's say there's two kids, Johnny and Mary. So both have very limited verbal ability, very little attention span, and the teacher is a mediator. And the teacher is saying, giving a PEX card to Johnny to give it to Mary, and ask her, what did Mary had for breakfast this morning? And then, of course, it was very challenging for the teacher to achieve that. But I mean, kudos to her. I was so impressed by her persistence, and I was so angry that there are no better tools available there. That's what motivated me to build Talk With Me. But yeah, I saw them do that without any, whatever little resources they had. So Johnny asked Mary what she had for breakfast, and then prompting Johnny many times, and eventually Johnny asked Mary, and then same thing, Mary giving a card to Mary and saying, do you want to tell Johnny what you had for breakfast? So they were successfully able to have that interaction between the two kids. So they weren't waiting for anything over there. They just just launched into it. And these were the children. I am not a therapist myself, but I could tell that they are not the ones who ticked all the prerequisites.
Yeah.
They definitely didn't, and that's what and Talk with Me does is it massively speeds things up. But you still don't need to wait for it.
Yeah, that is the one. Even I feel that the parallelly, they should, if it goes, the prerequisites, training and the conversation skills, automatically through the conversation skill training, the child learns the other prerequisites, the behaviors like turn taking, listening skills, everything.
On that note, let me bring back Amy again. She also made some comment on the same thing. So let me just bring back her video here and see what she says.
Obviously, it's an educational resource which is aiming to support those conversations. And one of the cool things about it is the research shows that the skills that I was talking about previously, so joint attention and turn taking, and even our cooperation, with another child, those skills were seen to be developed with the use of Talk With Me, which is really cool. So children were understanding turn taking through using the Talk With Me app, which kind of encourages that turn taking. And then if we're looking at that role play, that to and fro practicing in certain situations, Talk With Me can also be used in that way. So you can create conversations or find conversations that might have conversations similar to things that are coming up. You can use it to access the child's, world by creating or finding conversations about things that they're really interested in and helping them to want to have that to and fro. And you can also create conversations around areas that help with social development, so help with those social communication skills, breaking down certain aspects of everyday life and why we act this way, or breaking down aspects of conversations and about why we talk this way. So that's a resource that can really help that to and fro conversation aspect where you're both taking turns that I was talking about before, because a child will sit next to another child or an adult in their life and they might ask a question or answer a question. They have to stay on the same topic because the conversations are obviously pre-written. And so in that regard, that's a strategy which we're really looking, is exciting in terms of supporting those to and fro conversations. So, and the effectiveness, of course, like everything, there are some children who will just thrive, and then other children will need more variety of approaches. And for some children, I think that Talk With Me will ultimately be like a great part of their journey, which is the exciting thing about it. And so I just want to return to the idea of what we do in New Zealand. Like I've said, this is what I do as a New Zealand speech language therapist. There are lots of ways to target conversations, but I think that the ways that I've addressed today are probably quite commonly used. And it's exciting the way that new technology can help us with the skills that we already have, visuals and role play and developing those basic skills. It's really exciting to think of how technology can sort of play into that and expand on that and sort of make these skills more accessible to lots of different children. And so thanks for asking.
Like Amy said, I also support her what she said. Technology-based intervention is very much used in the intervention nowadays, because even though different apps like for communication and other stuff, or even for educational, the early interventions also we are using it, because it's more of a visual aid, and also the children are more able to focus on that and learn many things from that. So technological use will help them to learn things faster, and also it is easy to handle, and it is they can take wherever they go. So it is giving lot of improvement when we use the technological based intervention in these children too.
Thank you very much, Uma. That was a really interesting discussion. To sum it up, today we discuss the conventional approach to teaching conversation skills, where you first build a lot of prerequisites as sort of a checklist, and then you go into teaching conversation skills, versus an application oriented approach where you would launch straight into a conversation and by engaging in a meaningful activity with your child. And what you will see is that a lot of those prerequisites will follow. If you liked what we discussed here, please tell us in the comments. We would love to hear a good critique as well. And if you follow some of these approaches in your own therapy, we would love to hear from you, to what kind of results you are getting and all that. So whatever your thoughts are, please tell us in comments, and like and subscribe to our channel. You'll see more such interesting comment coming regularly. And this podcast is sponsored by the Talk With Me app. The link to download the app is in comments. So try it out and tell us what you think. Until next time, bye bye.